Good morning, dear students. This is Dr. Pratibha Case, Head Department of Biotechnology at KLE Societies S. Nijlingappa College, Rajajinagar, Bengaluru. Today, one of my student, Miss Vijayalakshmi, she is presenting our seminar talk on translation. Now, over to Vijayalakshmi.
Good afternoon to one and all present. I am Vijayalakshmi C from second year CBT, KLE Society as Nijlingappa College, Rajajinagar, Bangalore. I thank Dr. Pratibha ma'am, head of the Department of Biotechnology, for giving the opportunity for this presentation. Before going to main topic translation, we should know that why translation process is more important in our daily day life. Because without translation and transcription, our body would have no possible way to make proteins function. Proteins allow our body to do everything. For example, muscle protein allow our muscle to strengthen and grow. Antibodies protect the body from germs. Some proteins support body structure, whereas other helps with our body's movement. There are thousands of functions for different proteins. Now we'll learn about scientists and their contribution. Francis Crick proposed the central dogma of molecular biology. He was an important theoretical molecular biologist and played a crucial role in research related to revealing the helical structure of DNA on February 28, 1953 at Cambridge University with co-scientist James D. Watson. He is widely known for the use of term central dogma to summarize the idea that one information is transferred from nucleic acid, that is DNA or RNA, to proteins. It cannot flow back to the nucleic acid. In other words, the final steps in the flow of information from nucleic acid to protein is irreversible, means the genetic information flows from DNA to mRNA and mRNA to proteins. And Paul C. Zamenhof and Malon B. Hogland showed that before their incorporation into protein, amino acids are attached to a class of RNA molecule. These RNAs are called transfer RNA because they are attached to amino acid is subsequently transferred to the growing polypeptide chain. And another scientist named Walkin discovered the mRNA. Later, the Jacobo and Watson coined the term mRNA. We just recall how the mRNA is transcribed from DNA. In normal cells replicates. In order to that, they have to produce the same constituents for the new cell. That to be made only in one way, that is by producing proteins. It is the first step of protein synthesis. The proteins are produced in the process known as protein synthesis. Transcription is the process of formation of mRNA from DNA. We begin with uncoiling of DNA strand by breaking of hydrogen bonds between complementary base pair. Means the adenine pairs with thymine with 2 hydrogen bonds, where guanine pairs with cytosine with 3 hydrogen bonds in DNA. While in RNA, adenine is replaced by uracil. In the nucleus, a particular gene is being expressed, so it enables all the protein factors to come and to replicate the part of chromosome. One of the strand of DNA, 3' direction to 5' strand, act as template to produce mRNA. This template called as antisense or coding strand. Opposite to the antisense strand is sense strand, which does not code for protein. The synthesis of mRNA is catalyzed by the enzyme DNA-dependent RNA. The enzymes bear sigma factors, which recognize the specific site for produce mRNA. The complementary ribonucleotide means mRNA takes a place in opposite of by using magnesium 2+ by phosphodiester bond. mRNA is usually synthesized by 5' direction to 3' direction. In post-transcriptional stage, mRNA undergo enzymatic cleavage of introns and coding of exons called splicing. capping of 5' ends with methylated guanine. So the process carried out by three phases such as initiation, elongation, and termination. In the nucleus, in initiation process, the nucleus RNA polymerase recognize the recognition site, causing it to bind to the promoter such as start of a gene. The RNA polymerase then separates the DNA into single strand so that template strand can be read in the 3' to 5' direction. Next phase is elongation. Pre-mRNA nucleotides are quickly paired with their complementary bases, which corresponds with the template strand of DNA. The pre-mRNA moves in 5' to 3' direction, which has mentioned already, while the template strand of DNA moves oppositely from 3' to 5' direction. We know that pre-mRNA does not contain thymine. Instead of that, uracil is used as complementary base pair for adenine. The last phase is termination. When the RNA polymerase reaches the terminator, it signals the RNA polymerase to stop and release the DNA. Once separated two DNA strands come back together and reform the double helix. The newly formed pre-mRNA molecule is then released. This finishes the process when mRNA, the same single-stranded genetic code of a particular gene, is formed. Remember that this whole process of transcription done in nucleus. Now we'll learn about how mRNA to protein process actually done. Right after the single-strand mRNA enters to the cytoplasm through nuclear pore, it translated into proteins by ribosome. In detail, we'll learn about translation process. The process of polymerization of amino acid to form a polypeptide chain are coded information present in the mRNA is decoded into specific protein molecule known as translation. The process of synthesizing protein in a chain of amino acids known as polypeptide. It is the second part of central dogma in, in genetics. This process takes place in a ribosomes found in the cytoplasm, those attached to the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The function of ribosomes are to read the sequence of the codons in mRNA and tRNA molecule that transfer the amino acid to the ribosome in the correct sequence. However, the other molecules are also involved in the process of translation, such as various enzymatic factors. The translation process involves the reading the genetic code in mRNA to make protein. The entire translation process can be summarized into three phases, such that initiation, elongation, and termination. Now we learn about translation machinery. Why we need machineries? Because machineries are the tools for completing the process. For example, if we prepare any dish, initially we will ready with ingredients, right? So in the same way, the process are carried out, the translation is readied with the tools. The translation is headed by two major factors, a translator and a substrate. The translator is the molecule that conducts the translation. Substrate is where the mRNA is translated into a new protein, and the translation machinery composed of ribosome, tRNA, mRNA, attachments of amino acid to tRNA. So we will learn by step. Ribosomes, they are made of ribosomal RNA and proteins, and therefore they are also named as ribozymes because the RNA has enzymatic activity. The RNA has the peptidyl transferase activity that bonds the amino acid. The ribosome have two subunits of rRNA and proteins. A large subunit with three active sites, EPA, which are critical for the catalytic activity of ribosome. EPA stands that amino acid site where A site accepts the incoming tRNA bound to an amino acid, where peptidal site, P site, holds a tRNA that carries a growing polypeptide, and last exiting site, E site, where the tRNA goes after it's empty, meaning it has transferred its polypeptide to another tRNA. With respect to mRNA, sites oriented from 5' direction to 3' direction of EPA because ribosomes move towards the 3' end of RNA. Now we'll go to transfer RNA. Each transfer RNA has an anticode for the amino acid codon it carries, which are complementary to each other. For example, lysine is coded by AAG, and therefore the anticodon that will be carried by tRNA will be UUC. Therefore, when codon AAG appears, an anticodon UUC of tRNA will bind to it temporarily. When tRNA is bound to mRNA, the tRNA then release its amino acids. rRNA then helps to form bonds between the amino acids as they are transported to ribosomes one by one, thus thus creating a polypeptide chain. The polypeptide chain keeps growing until it reaches a stop codon. Now we study the structure of tRNA. As we know already, tRNA is discovered by Malone B. Hoagland and Paul C. Zamek. In details, alanine RNA structure was explained by R.W. Olin from yeast cell. It appears as leaf clover, which consists of 10 to 15 of RNA. It is the smallest RNA of 7 to 22 nucleotide. We know that nucleotide is consisting of nucleoside with phosphate group, means pentose sugar and nitrogen bases along phosphate group. There are 20 types of RNA in cytoplasm, and each of these have affinity towards particular amino acid. Each tRNA has two ends, 3' and 5'. 3' has a base sequence of CCA codon, and 5' has a base sequence of G nucleotides. CCA codon at 3' is unpaired, and it is a site for attachment for particular amino acid. RNA has a two recognition site, anticodon site and amino acid binding site. tRNA is folded in a clover leaf pattern, which arms with the arms, and each has a loop. Each arms have a loop. So the arms are pseudo-uridine arm, dihydrouridine arm, and amino acid linking arm, each arm having a loop. So the pseudo-uridine arm is consisting of a loop, ribosomal binding loop of 7 bases. Dihydrouridine arm is consisting of a loop of amino acid synthesized loop of 8 to 12 bases. Amino acid linking arm is consisting of a loop of anticodon loop made up of 7 bases. Pseudo-uridine arm is the third loop, and dihydrouridine arm is the first loop, and amino acid linking arm is a second loop. The center of the anticodon loop has a 3 unpaired region for binding to the mRNA. Below the pseudo-uridine arm, there is a variable arm of 4 to 12 nucleoside. Now next is attachment of amino acid to tRNA. tRNA molecule to which an amino acid is attached are said to be a charge, and tRNAs that lacks an amino acid are said to be a uncharged. Acyl linkage between the carboxyl group of an amino acid and the 2' or 3' hydroxyl group of adenosine nucleotide that protrudes from the acceptor stem at the 3' end of the tRNA. This linkage is very significant in protein synthesis. The energy released when this acyl bond is broken is coupled to the formation of peptide bonds that link amino acid to each other in polypeptide chain. Now, amino acyl tRNA synthetase structure attach an amino acid to an tRNA in two enzymatic steps. So now what we are seeing this. Now what we are seeing this is amino acyl tRNA synthetase attach an amino acid to a tRNA in two enzymatic steps. So that carried adenylation and tRNA charging. In adenylation, the amino acid reacts with ATP to become adenylate with the complement released of pyrophosphate. Adenylation refers to the transfer of AMP, means adenine monophosphate. The principal driving force for the adenylation reaction is the subsequent hydrolysis of pyrophosphate by pyrophosphatase in tRNA charging adenylate amino acid, which remains tightly bonded to synthetase, reacts with tRNA. This reaction results in transfer of amino acid to the 3' end of the tRNA, and in reverse 2' or 3' hydroxyl, and then release of adenine monophosphate. The specific determinates her cluster or two distinct site on molecule, the acceptor stems and the anticodon loop. The acceptor stems in a especially important determinant for the specific of tRNA synthetase recognition. In some case, changing a single base in the acceptor stem, known as determinator base, is sufficient to convert as recognition specificity of a tRNA from one synthetase to another. But sometimes this specificity does not work with certain amino acid. It is the free energy release during the cleavage of high energy ester bond that decides its integration of amino acids to polypeptide chain. Now the last is mRNA, means messenger RNA. We know that Walkin discovered the mRNA. Later, the Jacobo and Watson coined the term mRNA. It is form of 3 to 5 of RNA. mRNA is single stranded without base pairs. mRNA receives the coded message for the protein synthesis. Average eukaryotic mRNA is 1000 to 2000 base pair along it as a structure of 5' called as CAP, means cap, which is made up of 7' methyl guanosine nucleotide. Next to the cap region is the leader sequence, which is about 10 to 200 nucleotide in length. The third region is initiator codon, AUG, and rarely hit GUG. Next to initiator codon is coding region, which is of 1000 1500 nucleotide bases, which contains message for the protein synthesis. Next to the coding region, the terminator codon, which is of three types, UAA, UGA, and UAG. Next to the terminator codon is non-coding region is of 15 to 150 nucleotide bases. So after the coding, we will see the what is the genetic code means. So the characters of genetic code means the genetic code is triplet code, that is, which are represented by a group of three letters. We can see here the group of three letters CCCC, which codes for proline, and AA codes for alanine. So alanine. Genetic codes are universal. A particular amino acid is always coded for particular genetic code in all organisms. Genetic codes are degenerate, means amino acid involved in protein synthesis have more than one codon. So valine is having more than one codon, means GUU, GUA, GUC, and GUG. So the next one is the genetic codes are sensible or non-ambiguous, means each genetic code is sensible in selection of particular amino acids without making mistake in all organisms. So next is genetic codes are non-overlapping, means selection of amino acid by genetic code is continuous process without overlapping, means AUG and UUC. There is a no overlapping of the codons that takes place. Next one is genetic code have a initiated codon, means in the each codon there is a initiator codon. AUG is an initiator codon in all organisms. Whenever AUG is absent, GUG is act as initiator codon. Genetic codon are comma-less, means a selection of amino acid continuous process in a protein synthesis. Genetic code have a terminated codon, means there was a three terminating codon is UAA, UAG, and UGA. Now let us learn the translation of protein synthesis, enzymes and their functions. Peptidal transferase is the main enzyme used in translation. It is found in the ribosomes with an enzymatic activity that catalyzes the formation of a covalent peptide bond between the adjacent amino acids. The enzyme's activity is to form peptide bonds between adjacent amino acids using tRNAs during translation. The enzyme activity uses two substrates, of which one has to growing peptide chain and another bears the amino acid that is added to the chain. It is located in the last subunit of ribosomes, and therefore the primary function of peptidal transferase is to catalyze the addition of amino acid residues, allowing the peptide chain to grow. The peptidal transferase enzyme is entirely made up of RNA, and his mechanism is mediated by ribosomal RNA, which is the ribosome made up of ribonucleotides. In prokaryote, the 23S subunit contains peptidal transferase between A site and O site of tRNA, while in eukaryote it found in 20S subunit. Overview of the translation. The ribosomal translation is initiated when the ribosomes recognize the starting point of mRNA, where it binds a molecule of tRNA that bears a single amino acid. In prokaryotes, the initial amino acid is N-formyline methionine. During the elongation, the second amino acid is linked with the first one. The ribosome then shifts its position on mRNA and repeats the elongation cycle. When the elongation process reaches the stop codon, the amino acid chain floats spontaneously to form a protein. The ribosome then split into two subunits but later rejoin before another mRNA is translated. The protein synthesis is facilitated by several catalytic proteins which include initiation, elongation and termination factors and guanosine triphosphate GTP. GTP is a molecule that releases energy when converted into guanosine diphosphate means GDP. Now we will learn about the translation in details. So first step is initiation. The protein synthesis initiation is triggered by the presence of several initiation factors like IF1 means initiation factors 1, initiation factor 2 and initiation factor 3 including mRNA, ribosomes and tRNA where we can see there the small subunit binds to the upstream on the 5' head at the start of mRNA. The ribosome scans the mRNA in the 5' to 3' direction until it encounters the start codon. Start codon means AUG or GUG or UUG. When thereof the start codons is present, it recognized by the initiator F-MET tRNA. Means F-MET means N-formylene methionine tRNA. This initiator factors carries the methionine means MET which binds the P side on the ribosome. This synthesis the first amino acid polypeptide known as N-formylene methionine. The initiator F-MET tRNA has normal methionine anticodon. Therefore, it inserts the N-formylene methionine. This means that methionine is the first amino acid that is added and appears in the chain. Generally, there are three steps in the initiation process. First step is initiation of binding of mRNA to small ribosome ribosome subunit, that is, stimulating the initiator factor in F3, high F3. This dissociates the ribosomal subunit into two. Next is the initiator factor IF2 then binds to guanine triphosphate GTP and to the initiator F-MET tRNA to P site of ribosome. A ribosomal protein split the GDP that is bound to IF2 means initiation factor 2, thus help in driving the assembly of the two ribosomal subunit, that is IF3 and IF2 are released. So next is elongation. Elongation of a protein synthesis is aided by three protein factors such that EFTU means elongation protein TU and elongation protein TS and elongation factor G. The ribosomal function is known to shift one codon at a time, catalyzing the process that takes place in three sites. For every step, a charged tRNA enters the ribosomal complex and inserts the polypeptide that became one amino acid longer, while an uncharged tRNA depart. In prokaryote, amino acid is added at least every 0.05 seconds, which means about 200 polypeptide amino acids are translated in 10 seconds. The bond created between each amino acid is derived from guanine triphosphate GTP, which is similar to adenose triphosphate ATP. The three sites APE all participates in translation process, and the ribosome itself interact with all the RNA types involved in translation. Therefore, three distinct steps are involved in translation, and these are the the mediation of elongation factor TU, means the elongation factor TU in the entry of amino acid tRNAs to the A site. This entails the beginning of EFTU to GTP, guanine triphosphate, which activates the means EFTU GTP complex to bind tRNA. Therefore, these three distinct steps are involved in translation. By these three are what we will see that the GTP then hydrolyzed to GDP, releasing an energy-giving phosphate molecule, thus driving the binding of amino acid tRNA. The A site at this point, the EFTU is released, leaving the tRNA in A site. Elongation factor EFTS then mediates the releasing of ETF TU GDP complex from the ribosome and the formation of EF elongation factor TU GDP guanine triphosphate. During this translocation, the process polypeptide chain on the peptidal tRNA is transferred to amino acyl tRNA on the A site during a reaction that is catalyzed by a peptidal transferase. The ribosomes then move one codon further along the mRNA in the 5' to 3' direction, mediated by elongation factor EFG. G means stands for guanine. This step draws its energy from splitting of GTP to GDP, means guanine triphosphate is shifted to guanine diphosphate. Uncharged tRNA is released from the P site, transferring newly formed peptidal tRNA from the A site to the P site. Now we will see the termination. Termination of the translation process is triggered by an encounter of any of the three stop codons like UAA, UAG and UGA. Any of this will be terminating, act as terminating. These triplet stop codons, however, are not recognized by the tRNA, but by the protein factors known as releasing factors, means RF1, RF2 found in the ribosomes. The RF1 recognize the triplet UAA and UAG, while RF2 recognize UAA and UAG. A third factor also assisted in catalyzing the termination process, and it is known as release factor 3, means RF3. When the peptidal tRNA from the elongation step arrives at the P site, what the peptidal site is there, it arrives, the release factor of the stop codon binds to the A site. A site stands for amino acid site. There release the polypeptide from the P site, allowing the ribosome to dissociate into two subunits by the energy derived from GTP, leaving the mRNA. After many ribosomes have completed the translation process, the mRNA is degraded, allowing its nucleotide to be reused in other transcription reaction. So, after this termination process, we will see such inhibitors which are under work. So, these inhibitors are antimicrobial agents are used as protein synthesis inhibitors, which include promycin. This is an antibiotic that is an analog of the terminal amino acyl adenosine part of amino acyl tRNA. That This antibiotic inhibits protein synthesis by releasing prokaryotic polypeptides chain before they are completely synthesized. Its mechanism is achieved by joining its amino group to the carboxyl group of the growing polypeptide chain on his side. What are the amino acid site is there for forming an adduct that dissociates from the ribosome. Promycin also contains an alpha amino group similar to that one, the amino acyl tRNA, which forms a covalently bond peptide bond with the carboxyl group. The growing peptide with promycin reduces, thus contributing to dissociation of ribosome. Streptomycin, this is the second inhibitor. Trisaccharide means we know that there were monosaccharides and polysaccharides. It is the three types of sugar that has an effect on binding activity of formalin, methionine, tRNA to ribosome. This prevents the correct initiation of protein synthesis. Next inhibitor is aminoglycoside antibiotics such as pneumomycin, kanamycin, and gentamicin, which interferes with protein synthesis and decoding the site in 60S rRNA of small subunit. We know the 60S rRNA is only found in Archaebacteria. So this after this next inhibitor is chloramphenicol inhibits that activates the peptidal transferase, and another one is theromycin blocks the translocation by binding to 50S. And next one is cycloheximide is used to block peptidal transferase in eukaryotic ribosomes, and it is used as the laboratory tools for blocking protein synthesis in eukaryotic cell. Next, the last one is diphtheria toxin as a fragment that catalyzes the transfer of single side chain of EF2, which blocks the translocation of growing peptide chain. Now we will see whether the translation process differs in eukaryotes and prokaryotes. So in prokaryotes, it occurs on 78 ribosome. It is a continuous process on both transcription and translation, occurs in cytoplasm. mRNA is a polycystronic, means coding for several genes of polypeptide. First amino acid taking part in this is FMET. It is a phospho process because adding of amino acids means 1 second they will be adding of 20 amino acids. It requires 3 initiation factors like IF1, IF2 and IF3. After translation, formally group from first formulated methionine is removed, retaining methionine in the polypeptide chain. It requires 3 releasing factors I already mentioned, RF1, RF2 and RF3 for recognition of termination codon. mRNA life is short because few seconds of 2 minutes as mRNA is unstable. But a single type of RNA polymerase is used to control the synthesis of the types of RNA molecule. Transcription and translation can overlap where the mRNA does not undergo any modification before translation. A special initiator means the tRNA, methionine tRNA is used. So in case of tRNA, the methionine tRNA is used in the prokaryotic translation. The starting amino acid is N-formyline methionine. They have several initiation and termination sites. The ribosomal binding site, RBS, our mRNA is the Shine-Dalgomo sequence that lies to 10 nucleosides ahead for the initiation codon. So we know that elongation factor is EF2, TU, and EFTS and EFG. So the next one is eukaryotic translation. It occurs on 80S ribosome. So in the prokaryotic it occurs on 70S. In eukaryotic it occurs on 80S. It is discontinuous process as transcription occurs in nucleus while translation on cytoplasm. mRNA is monocistronic, means coding for a single gene of polypeptide. First amino acid is methionine. It adds on amino acids per second, means it is a slower process. It requires a set of 9 initiation factors. The whole of initiating methionine is removed from polypeptide chain. It requires single release factor RF1 for recognition of 3 termination codons. Termination codons are UAA, UAC, UAG, and UGA. mRNA has a life of few hours to few days. It's a quite stable. Then prokaryotic translation. Okay, then the three types of RNA polymerase are used for synthesis of cellular RNA. Transcription and translation takes place separately, hence they do not overlap. The mRNA undergoes modification before they are translated. They do not have special initiator complex of tRNA in eukaryotic cell. The starting amino acid is methionine. They have single initiation and termination site. The ribosomal binding site is Okazaki sequence, that is centered around the start codon. There are 2 chain elongation factors, that are EF1, EF2. The genetic code may differ in mitochondria and chloroplast. Now we will see whether the mRNA differs in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. As the mRNA produced by transcription of operon in prokaryotes. We will see this in details. The synthesis of mRNA in prokaryotes occurs in cytoplasm. It is a polycistronic, does not contain both 5' and 3' tail. The transcription is coupled with translation in prokaryotes. Contains a ribosome binding site, which is Shine-Dalgono sequence. Lifespan is very short in case of prokaryotic mRNA. Undergoes very little post-transcription modification. So we will see this diagrammatic representation where the polycistronic means there is a multi-proteins are produced. In eukaryotic mRNA, we will see that eukaryotic mRNA, the mRNA produced by the transcription of a single gene is eukaryotes. The synthesis of mRNA occurs inside the nucleus. It is a monocistronic, means the producing only a single protein, contains both 5' cap and 3' tail. The transcription of eukaryotes occur after the completion of transcription. 5' cap in the eukaryote mRNA is responsible for recutting ribosomes. Lifespan relatively stable. Undergoes major post-transcriptional modification in case of eukaryotes. We already know prokaryotes or polycystonic. In detail, we study the lacoperon. It's this lacoperon concept, lactose metabolism, is in the example of E. coli bacteria. By Francis Jacobo. He conducted the lacoperon constitution where there we can see a structural gene and a controlling gene. Here in this diagram, you can see there is a structural gene and a controlling gene. And this controlling gene will be having a promoter gene which promotes the protein mRNA. So that mRNA will be activated by the DNA dependent RNA. And then the controlling gene having another one is regulatory gene, which is induced in operon concept is lactic acid. So now we will move to translation process in prokaryotes. So it is a process of synthesis of protein by encoding information on mRNA. We already know that. Protein synthesis requires, what are the requirements for this translation? I told in brief, but again I will tell. This mRNA, tRNA, amino acid, ribosome, and enzyme amino acid tRNA synthesis. So we'll discuss in detail that various protein factors involved in protein synthesis. What I told, that initiation factor is there, elongation factor is there, termination factor means releasing factors are there. And I didn't told that what are the functions are there. Now I will tell. The initiation factor 1 helps to stabilize the 30S ribosomal subunit, and initiation factor 2 binds the HFMET, means formal N-formyline methionine tRNA with 30S subunit mRNA complex, binds the GTP, means guanine triphosphate and hydrolyze. And the initiation factor 3 binds 30S subunit with mRNA. The elongation factor TU binds GTP, bring amino acyl tRNA to A site of ribosome. Elongation factor TS, what is there, binds FMET tRNA with 30S subunit mRNA complex, binds GTP and hydrolyze. So after that, initiation factor 3, that EFTU binds GTP, brings amino acid tRNA to A side of ribosome, and TS, elongation factor TS, generate EFTU. Then elongation factor G helps in translocation of ribosome. Next, the releasing factor 1, in case of termination, helps to dissociate polypeptide from tRNA ribosome complex specific for UAA and UAG. Next, releasing factor 2 helps to dissociate polypeptide specific for UGA and UAA. And releasing factor 3 at last stimulates releasing factor 1 and releasing factor 2. Now we will see what are the steps involved in this process. Activation of amino acid. The activation of amino acid takes place in cytosol, means cytoplasm. The activation of amino acid is catalyzed by their amino acid tRNA synthesis. All the 20 amino acids are activated and bound to 3' end of their specific tRNA in the presence of ATP and magnesium 2+. The N-formulated methionine is chain-initiating amino acid in bacteria, whereas methionine is chain-initiating amino acid in eukaryotes. Methionine is activated by methylyl tRNA synthetase. For N-formyline methionine, 2 types of tRNA are used, such as tRNA methionine and tRNA N-formyline methionine. Similarly, all 20 amino acids are activated means amino acid AMP, adenose monophosphate enzyme complex, and then bound to their specific tRNA forming amino acid tRNA. Next is initiation. So in this step, it is the first step where initiation factor 3 binds to 30S ribosomal unit. Then mRNA binds to 30S ribosomal unit in such a way in a such a way that AUG codon lie on peptidal, means peptidal site is P site, and the second codon lies on amino acid site, means A site. The tRNA carrying formulated methionine, means F made tRNA is packed at P site. This elongation, yeah, this specificity is induced by initiation factor 2 with utilize of GTP. Then initiation factor 1 prevent the binding of F-made tRNA is in A site. Shine-Dalgarno sequence in mRNA guide the correct positioning of AUG codon at P site of 30S ribosome. After binding of F-made tRNA on P site, the initiation factor 3 and initiation factor 2 and initiation factor 1 are released so that 50S ribosomal unit bind with 30S, forming 70S ribosome. The exit site is located in. So next is elongation. You can see here binding of amino acid tRNA at A site in first step. The second tRNA carrying next amino acid comes into A site and recognizing the codon on mRNA. This binding is facilitated by EF2 by EFTU and utilizes GDP. After binding, GTP is hydrolyzed and EFTU GDP means guanine diphosphate is released. EFTU and GDP then enters into EFTS cycle. Next is peptide bond formation. The amino acid present in tRNA of P side is formalin methionine is transferred to tRNA of A side, forming peptide bond. This reaction is catalyzed by peptidal transferase. Now, the tRNA at P side become uncharged. Why it is become uncharged? Because it loses the amino acid. After peptide bond formation, ribosome moves on one codon head along 5' to 3' direction on mRNA so that dipeptide tRNA appear on P site and next codon appear on A site. This all done in ribosome translocation. So the uncharged tRNA exit from ribosome and enter to cytosol, means cytoplasm. The ribosomal translocation requires elongation factor G and GTP translocase enzyme, which change the 3D structure of ribosome and catalyze 5' and 3' movement. The codon on A side is now recognized by other amino acid tRNA as in previous. The dipeptide on P side is transferred to A side, forming tripeptide. This process continues, giving long polypeptide chain of amino acid. The last is termination process in eukaryote. The peptide bond formation and elongation of polypeptide continues until stop codon appear on A site, means amino site. If stop codon appear on A site, it is not recognized by tRNA carrying amino acids because stop codon do not have anticodon on mRNA. The stop codon are recognized by next protein called releasing factor. I told you that releasing factor 1, releasing factor 2 and releasing factor 3 are there, which are hydrolyzes and causes release of all components such that 30S and 50S mRNA and polypeptide separates. RF1 recognizes UAA and UAG, while RF2 recognizes UAA and UGA, while RF3 dissociates 30S and 50S. This RF1 dissociates, RF3 dissociates 38 and 58 subunit. In case of eukaryotes, only one release factor, that is ERF, means eukaryotic releasing factor, causes dissociation. So we will move to next is translation process in eukaryotes. We know that what you mean, what is meaning of translation. So it is the process in which ribosome in cytoplasm or endoplasmic reticulum synthesize the protein after the process of transcription of DNA to RNA. So the ribosomes, what is there? It is a ribosome. Ribosome exists normally has a separate subunit that are composed of protein and RNA. Eukaryotic ribosomes are large, 80S, and more complex than prokaryotic ribosomes, means 80S, 70S. Okay. The subunits comes together to form a ribosome when they binds to an mRNA near to 5' end. On binding to mRNA, the ribosome reads the nucleotide sequence from 5' to 3' direction, synthesizing the corresponding protein from amino acids in N-terminal, means amino terminal, to C-terminal, means carboxyl terminal direction. Ribosomes are located in the cytosol, either freely floated or associated with endoplasmic reticulum. They serve to protein synthesis. So, ribosomal site for protein translation. Each prokaryotic ribosome show an asymmetric as 3 binding site. As we know, there is a site, P site, and E site. In the same way, here the eukaryotic also exhibits the A site, P site, and E site, which are bonds. All these sites are formed by RNA molecule in ribosomes. Okay, next there is a process of translation in detail. The overall mechanism of protein synthesis in eukaryotes is basically the same as in prokaryotes. However, there are some significant differences. Whereas a prokaryotic ribosome has a sedimentation coefficient of 70S and subunits of 30S and 50S. A eukaryotic ribosome has sedimentation coefficient of 80S with subunit of 40S and 60S. The composition of eukaryotic ribosomal subunit is also more complex than eukaryotic subunits, but the function of each subunit is essential the same as in prokaryotes. In eukaryotes, each mRNA is monocystronic, that is discontinuing any subsequent post-translation cleavage reaction that may occur. The mRNA encodes a single protein. In prokaryotes, many mRNA are polycystronics, that is, they encoded several proteins, as such as I told earlier. Each coding sequence in a prokaryotic mRNA has its own initiation and termination codon. Initiation of protein synthesis in eukaryotic requires at least 9 distinct eukaryotic initiation factors, means eukaryotic initiation factors EIF, compared with 3 initiation factor IF in prokaryotes. In eukaryotes, the initiation amino acid is methionine, not N-formyline methionine. Remember this, as in prokaryotes, it is the N-formyline methionine. As in prokaryotes, a special initiator, tRNA, is required for initiation, and it is distinct from the tRNA that recognize the binding to codons for methionine. at internal position in the mRNA. When charged with a methionine ready to begin initiation, that is known as methionine tRNA. The main difference between initiation of translation in prokaryotes and eukaryotes is that in bacteria, a signed Dalgona sequence lies in 5' to 3' AUG initiation codon, and it binds the side of 30S ribosomal subunit. 30S is 30S small subunit. In contrast, most eukaryotic mRNA do not contain signed Dalgona sequence. Instead of that, 40S ribosomal subunit attaches at the 5' head. The mRNA and moves downstream. Okay, that until it finds the AUG initiation codon. This process is called as scanning. Prokaryotic translation requires no helicase, but because the protein synthesis in bacteria can start even as mRNA is still being synthesized, whereas in eukaryotics, transcription in the nucleus and translation in the cytoplasm are separate events, which allows time for mRNA and mRNA secondary structure to form. Now we will study about how the process and the stages are occurred. For the protein synthesis takes place in 3 stages: initiation, elongation, and termination. The first step is formation of pre-initiation complex consisting of 40S small ribosomal subunit, means methionine tRNA, means elongation initiation factor 2, and GTP. The pre-initiation complex binds to the 5' end of the eukaryotic mRNA as step that requires elongation initiation factor and 4 factors, also called as cap binding complex. And next is elongation initiation factor 3. The eukaryotic initiation factor complex consisting of eukaryotic initiation factor 4A and 4E, and this also consists of eukaryotic initiation factor 4G, eukaryotic initiation factor 4E binds to the 5 cap on mRNA, while this eukaryotic initiation factor 4G interacts with poly A binding protein on Pol A tail. Poly amino acid. Poly A means polypeptide sequence. This eukaryotic initiation factor 4A is an ATP-dependent RNA helicase that unwinds any secondary structure in the mRNA, preparing it for translation. The complex then moves along the mRNA in a 5' to 3' direction until it locates the AUG initiation complex consisting of 40 have small ribosomal subunit, methionine tRNA, subunit, methionine tRNA, and eukaryotic initiation factor 2 and GTP. So this what we know, that the process known as scanning. The pre-initiation complex binds 5' end of the eukaryotic mRNA, a step that requires in eukaryotic initiation factor 4F, also called cap binding complex, and eukaryotic initiation factor 3. The eukaryotic initiation factor 4F complex consisting of eukaryotic initiation factor 4A and 4E. What do you mean by 4A and 4E? 4A is the 4 sides of A side and 4 sides of E. And a eukaryotic initiation factor of 4G and eukaryotic initiation factor of 4E binds to the 5 cap on the mRNA, while list we know that polyhetyl. So these all ATP depend RNA helicase that unwinds the secondary structure, so that we will known as scanning that untranslated region of eukaryotic mRNA vary in the length but can be several hundred nucleotides along and may contain secondary structures such as hairpin loop. These secondary structures are probably removed by initiation factor of scanning complex. The initiation codon is usually recognizable because it is often contained in a short sequence called Kozak sequence, means 5 prime is ACC AUGG 3 prime. Hence, once the complex is positioned over the initiation codon, the 60 has large ribosomal subunit binds to form a 80 has initiation complex, a step that. So next one is elongation of protein synthesis in eukaryotic. Elongation depends on eukaryotic elongation factor. There 3 elongation factors are there: eukaryotic elongation factors 1A and eukaryotic elongation factor 1B. And then there will be elongation of eukaryotic elongation factor 2 are involved, which have similar function to their prokaryotic counterparts. So in prokaryotes, what we saw this elongation factor Tu, elongation factor Ts, and elongation factor Tg. So in the same way, that at the end of the initiation step, the mRNA is positioned so that the next codon can be translated during the elongation stage of protein synthesis. The initiator tRNA occupies the P site in the ribosome, and the A site is ready to receive an amino acid tRNA. During the chain elongation, each additional amino acid is added to nascent polypeptide change in 3-step microcycle. The 3 steps are positioning the correct amino acid tRNA in the A site of ribosome, forming of peptide bond, and next one is shifting the mRNA by 1 codon relative to the ribosome. Although most codons encoded the same amino acid in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes, they are mRNAs synthesized with the organelles of some eukaryotes use a variant of genetic code. As I mentioned earlier, during elongation in bacteria, the deacylated tRNA in P site moves to E site prior to leaving the ribosome. In contrast, although the situation is still not completely clear, in eukaryotes, the deacylated tRNA appears to eject directly from ribosome. So next, after the last is termination of protein. So termination of elongation depends on eukaryotic releasing factor. In eukaryotic release factor ERF1 recognize all 3 termination codon UAA, UAG, and UGA, and with the help of protein ERF3 means what eukaryotic release factor 3 terminates translation. Upon the translation, the ribosome is disassembled and completed the polypeptide is released. At last, there will be a releasing of polypeptide, free tRNA, releasing factors, and the ribosomal subunit and mRNA. So this all process again continues. So at last, the post-translation modification. So the new formed polypeptide may not be function, so it undergoes several folding and processing known as post-translation modification. Amino terminal and carboxyl terminal modification. Ma'am? Hello, ma'am? Now we will study that post-translation modification. The newly formed polypeptide may not be biological function, so it undergoes several folding and processing known as post-translation modification. Amino acid terminal and carboxyl terminal modification. How it happens, we will see. The N-formanyl methionine in case of bacteria is removed from polypeptide chain, and some carboxyl terminal are also removed by enzymatic action to make functional protein. In case of eukaryotic protein, an amino acid terminal is N-acetylated. So next is loss of signal sequence. In some protein, the amino terminal end is cleaved by specific peptidase so that protein lost its signaling property. Modification of individual amino acid. The amino acids may be phosphorylated, acetylated for modification. And the last is attachment of carbohydrate side chain. Carbohydrate side chain is added to make protein functional, such as example like glycoprotein, lipoprotein. And the last is addition of isopropyl group. In some protein, isopropyl group is added so that to make protein active. I hope you all understood the topic translation. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vijayalakshmi. Thank you for your elongated, elaborated explanation and translation, both prokaryotes, eukaryotes, and post-translational modification. Once again, I express my sincere thanks to Vijayalakshmi C.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, viewers. I hope this particular class will be useful to you. I, Dr. Pratibha KS, signing for the day. Stay tuned with us. We'll be back with some more interesting videos. Thank you, everyone. Stay home, stay safe.